What up, y'all? It's your boy Evan, and right now I'm outside of Harrah's on the Las Vegas Strip. I'm about to check out the Elvis Presley Heartbreak Hotel show. So the show was created by some of the people who did Rock of Ages. I saw the movie, I thought it was alright. I'm willing to check this one out, see what it's about. And this is the only Elvis show that has been sanctioned by Elvis Enterprises. So that gives me something to look forward to, gives me some hope. I'm not a super fan of tribute shows. I'm not really a big fan of them. And I'm not a super fan of Elvis. I like Elvis, I like the music, but I'm not a super fan. Much more of a Beatles guy myself. But I want to check out the show, see what it's about, and hopefully it's more history rather than just a tribute show. I'm gonna try to get some video, but it did say no audio recording, no video recording. So I don't know if that's gonna be possible. Either way, I'm gonna check it out. After the show, I'm gonna come back and give a little bit of a review, tell you whether or not it's worth checking out. All right, I'll see you in a bit. So I just walked into the Heartbreak Hotel, as I mentioned, and this is pretty cool. I have a booth, so they have like the pit area where there's seats, but where I'm at, there's booths. That's pretty awesome. I like that. And I have a booth to myself tonight.
I'll be so lonely I could die. Well, I know it's always crowded. You still get my hands around. Oh,
I just got out of Elvis's Heartbreak Hotel, and I have to say, I actually learned quite a bit, because thankfully it was more of a history with Elvis's music as the soundtrack of growing up, being in love with gospel and the blues, as well as him going to Sun Records, and after that meeting up with the Colonel, how Elvis left the building came about. Whenever he recorded with Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, that was amazing to hear. Yeah, that's like a super amazing trio. So after he did his Sun recordings, you learn about how he came to Las Vegas for the first time. It didn't go so well. I didn't know that. After his first time in Vegas, he ended up signing up and going and getting enlisted in the Army, which was a big moment for rock and roll, and they touch on that, as well as the loss of his mother, which they also touch on. After that, it gets more into just kind of what he's doing between that point in his life and his return to Vegas, where that is actually where the story stops. You don't get to hear anything about him and Nixon, anything about his death. You don't even really get a lot of his later songs. So as I said, I'm not a huge Elvis fan. I know a lot of the music because I grew up with it, but it's a lot of the songs in this show I didn't know, which was not necessarily a bad thing. But if you're coming just to only hear the Elvis hits, you're not only going to get those. You're going to get some. You're going to get some of the best ones. But like, I didn't hear A Little Less Conversation, In the Ghetto, one of my favorites. Didn't hear. But it's definitely worth checking out. Also, the story is told in a very interesting way. It's not just the main person who's the Elvis character. You get the story told by everybody in the cast almost, and they kind of take turns telling part of the stories, but also with the different arrangements and the different songs. Ages 6 and up allowed, so there might be some, if you're a parent, and there might be some jokes in the show that maybe might go over the kid's head. Tickets for the show start off at $50, and I got the times listed of when they show right down here. So is it a must-see? I don't know. Maybe for you, maybe. If you're interested in learning about music history, about Elvis, and more about his life, because it is an abridged version. The entire show is an hour and a half, so you don't get super into his life. It's just a very clips version of his life. Because I mean, there's a lot of history there. A lot of history, and there's not nearly enough time to get into all of that. But I think it's worth checking out if you're a music historian, if you like that classic rockabilly, classic rock and roll, and kind of getting an idea where music came from. That's kind of the person I've always been, so I think it's worth checking out. And the performances, like I said, the band is really tight. All the performers are great. So that alone, it's worth the money. If you're only wanting to hear the hits, maybe it might not be the show for you. I enjoyed it because I do like history, as I've mentioned many times in these videos. And also, I like learning about, musicians and history and all that. But yeah, if you check it out, if you thought this video was cool, like and subscribe. If you've seen it before, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. But once again, I'm coming to you from outside of Harrah's on the Las Vegas Strip. It's been another episode of Mr. E's in Las Vegas. See you guys next time. Peace.